one team left to go over.
And that is the Indianapolis Colts. Shout out to Pat McAfee. For the Colts, they still have Jonathan Taylor. They did sign Khalil Herbert in the offseason. Their weapons look fairly the same. They drafted a tight end out of Notre Dame, and Tyler Warren. Offensive line is still intact. Defense looking as average as always. But as far as the Colts wise, before we go over the schedule, what is your prediction for what the schedule might shake out to be?
Yeah, my prediction for what the schedule might shake out to be is going to be Shane Steichen getting fired after this year. I mean, what on earth were you thinking bringing in Daniel Jones to compete with Anthony Richardson, two quarterbacks who can't throw and two quarterbacks who only run? I guess we're going to build like a similar offense where it's like, you know what? We pretty much gave up on trying to throw the football when you have Daniel Jones and Anthony Richardson. And it's like, even just adding Daniel Jones to the locker room makes the IQ go down. Shane Steichen is going to be dumber for it. I mean, usually a good head coach needs a quarterback to mentally stimulate them. Who is going to be stimulating Shane Steichen on that offense in the quarterback room? Nobody.
I also think, like, in this league, the quarterback's easily the most important position. Your defense is, like, fine, but I also think, just like what you've said before, a bad defense or a bad offense is the biggest killer of a good defense. And if your defense is already average, once when you're starting to get blown out and your team can't score more than 15 points a game, then I think that's going to hurt them a lot. That being said, week 1, they go and host the Miami Dolphins in the high-flying Tua machine.
Yeah, so they host the Miami Dolphins in the Tua machine. One thing we know about the Miami Dolphins and Tua is that they are great. They are high-flying. In September, that is when Tua is an MVP. Miami might start out 4-0. So give me the Dolphins, and I feel like we're not picking any other scores for these games, but give me the Dolphins 56 to -2.
Damn, first negative score in NFL history. I'm excited to see it. And then week 2, they host again the Denver Broncos at 4 o'clock.
Yeah, and I feel like the Broncos are going to be an interesting team this year. The whole conversation is going to be Bo Nix and, around him this year. And I feel like Bo Nix is going to eventually turn into the white Dak Prescott at the end of the day. So give me the white Dak Prescott to win this game.
All right. And then we go to Tennessee, 1 o'clock, to take on Cam Ward and the Titans.
So we go to Tennessee, take on Cam Ward and the Titans. And I believe I had the Broncos winning that game previously. So give me the Broncos again. And then the Titans, or the Colts, start out 0-3 so far.
And now there's questions. Shane Steichen, right guy for the job? We don't know. Well, it doesn't get easier for them because they go to LA to take on Matt Stafford and the Rams in that high-flying offense and defense.
Yeah, and give me the Rams in this one. I still feel like the Rams are going to be a solid team, and even though sometimes they do struggle earlier in the year in September, still give me the Rams to win this one. So now we're 0-4 for the Colts. A lot of rumblings about Shane Steichen going on, starting similarly to how the Pacers started the regular season last year.
It's an ultimate hey, they had to sacrifice, and that's okay because hopefully right now it's a tie game for the Thunders and Pacers, so hopefully that sacrifice pays off. But that's okay for the Colts. Fear not. We are now in October. There's a new leaf, new month, and they go and host the LA Raiders or the Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah, and this is a game where I think the Colts can win it, but really, why would you pick the Colts to win this game? It's like, I guess they could, but at the end of the day, Ashton Genty, you give me one of the best tight ends in the league versus a struggling Indianapolis team. Give me the Raiders in this one.
0-5 for the Colts. People are going to start saying Arch Manning to the Colts, question mark? I can see the headlines now. Well, now, don't worry. They're not going very far. They are hosting, again, they'll be going and hosting the Arizona Cardinals and Kyler Murray.
Yeah, and they'll be hosting the Arizona Cardinals and Kyler Murray, so give me the Colts in this one. I feel like you can give me a gimme win here, and, I feel like they'll at least try harder than the Cardinals at this point, and we have two coaches that are going to be on thin ice, but I feel like, Murph from Impractical Jokers is just a little bit dumber than Shane Steichen, so give me the Colts to win this one. We go 1-5.
Plus, they can't go winless. They're not winless bad, but they are not a good team, especially to this point. They're 1-5 at this point. But then they go to LA to face the LA Chargers, their newly improved running backs and their worst defense. But in LA for the Chargers, 4 o'clock.
Yeah, and even I have to be objective sometimes. So give me the Chargers in this one. I think they take the win, and then Colts are now struggling. 1-6. Is this the game where Shane Steichen gets fired, or is it? Oh no, Jonathan Taylor got hurt, so obviously we can't fire him.
Of course not. Why would we do that? Week 8. Now we're in the half point of the season, and they host Cam Ward and the Titans.
And then, yeah, I believe I had the Titans winning that one, or we had them splitting. So give me the Titans in that one. Another 1-7.
It's looking really rocky for Shane Steichen at this point. And their schedule doesn't really get easier for quite some time. They go to Pittsburgh, 1 o'clock, beginning of November.
Yeah, and that's just some signature Mike Tomlin game where he wins a lot of games that he shouldn't, but he also loses a lot of games that he shouldn't either. So give me the Colts in this one. I feel like they take care of business versus the Steelers, because is it going to be Mason Rudolph, or is it going to be, the Shaman?
The Shaman. Yeah, we have no idea. And then they go over to the Deutschland. Last game before their bye, they go to Berlin, Germany, and they are taking on the Falcons and Michael Penix.
Yeah, and again, the Falcons are just a better team at this point, but I feel like the Colts are just a great overseas team for some reason. So give me the Colts in this one for no good reason.
Okay, so now they're on a winning streak. They started off 1-7, but now some wins piled together. Shane Steichen, maybe he's not holding a cardboard box outside of Lucas Oil Stadium, but he
He's
gets a
not
week of
bad.
rest. It's not bad. Week 11, they get some rest. They get some shut eye that they need. They take some melatonin. They get well rested. Week 12, though, they have to go to Kansas City. Arrowhead, 1 o'clock.
Yeah, and this is just, you're going up against the Kansas City Chiefs, and who be it to pick against the Kansas City Chiefs at home? So definitely not going to do that. Could it be one of those glitchy Chiefs games? Yeah, but I'm not going to be the one to predict that.
Maybe that week we will, but not today. And then week 13, they host the Houston Texans.
They host the Houston Texans, and I believe they lose to the Houston Texans. I can't see the Texans losing to the Colts this year. So again, give me the Houston Texans. And now we are 3-9, and it went from he's not so bad to maybe it's bad again with Shane Steichen. Is he still here?
I don't think he is at this point. I think he's holding a cardboard box. I think he's trying to get a job at McDonald's at this point, frankly. But fear not, because December, they go to Jacksonville with all 4 of their fans bundled together in the cold, and they play the Jaguars.
They play the Jaguar, and that is in Jacksonville?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so they always lose in Jacksonville. So now they are 3-10.
They're 3-10 at this point. Tank. Sorry, Colts. Just tank at this point. They then go to Seattle at 4 o'clock and face the Seahawks and Sam Darnold.
And they get a win because somehow I feel like Sam Darnold is worse still than Daniel Jones or Anthony Richardson. Maybe he's technically better at passing, but is he better at football? I don't think so, Tim.
I don't think so. And then Monday Night Football. At this point, they are 4-10. Season is lost. Shane Steichen is homeless. And they face the Niners on Monday Night Football just because the NFL has a sick sense of humor.
Yeah, and they face the Niners, but honestly, I don't think the Niners will have a team at this point. So give me the Colts to upset the Niners on Monday Night Football.
Oh
The
my
real
goodness.
question is just going to be who's healthier, Jonathan Taylor or Christian McCaffrey? Do they both still have knees at this point? I don't know. We'll see.
That's a tough bet to bet on. And then week 17, they host the Jaguars.
And they get the win versus the Jaguars, and they finish out, or they go 6-10.
And then they face the Texans, which at this point, who cares? You're 6-10. You played yourself out of the number 1 pick, which I can see happening for sure. And then the Texans game, who's the backup for the Texans? Let me look. They have obviously CJ Stroud and then Davis Mills. They got Dougie Mills you got to face up against, which sounds like it's an easy one. But Dougie Mills, he's better than you think.
Why has no one tapped Dougie Mills yet? Like, you get all of these backup quarterbacks. You bring in Daniel Jones. We're bringing in Carson Wentz, shuffling all these guys around the league. Why not give Doug Mills a chance? Like, I get, like, he's like a modern Mike Glennon, and maybe some people are a little bit worried about that. But, like, I feel like sometimes you watch them, you're like, this guy has good fundamentals. And he was with some pretty terrible offensive lines. I mean, his mentor was Lovie Smith.
Yeah, I agree. I think I'm surprised even like a team like Atlanta in the past before they had drafted Michael Penix, like I just feel like even an NFC team could have easily taken a chance on him because he showed promise. But when you have Lovey Smith and your number one receiver was like John Mechie at one point, like that's just not a recipe for success. Robert Woods, just not a recipe for success there.
No, definitely not. So we have the South predicted way too early. If you're watching this before the season, just because some lovely algorithmic hashtags push this video up to you in September, we're picking this currently in June while watching the NBA Finals. So we have the Indianapolis Colts at 7-10. We have the Jacksonville Jaguars at 5-12. We have the Texans at 11-6, and then we have the Titans at 9-8. So the order would go Texans, Titans, Colts, Jaguars. How did we do? Let us know.
I honestly think that that's fairly accurate. I mean, you can maybe flip the Colts and Jags together, but I think the Titans will surprise some people. The Texans, maybe they're 12-5 instead of 11-6. Shoot me. And then otherwise, yeah, I feel like that's fair. Jags will probably be picking top five like they always do. And the Colts play themselves out of a top five quarterback. So I think this is very accurate.
Yeah, and maybe we didn't get like the wins exact, but I feel or like the games and like where the wins and losses come in exactly, but I feel like this is a fair record and it's pretty generous for some of these teams. Like the Colts going 7-10, feel like that's really reasonable. I don't think anyone expects anything from them, especially with Anthony Richardson getting another shoulder injury. It's seeming like this guy will never be healthy.
Yeah, I can agree with that. But NFL is quickly emerging. Next week, we'll be going over another division. Let us know who we should do next. But NFL coming up 3 months away before we are back